Okay, I can hear you. Hear me okay? And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Executive Next Practice with our next presentation on new strategies for lead generation. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. And Jason, if you can give us a thumbs up since we're coming in alternate channels, thanks very much. Again, welcome everyone. So let me set the stage with you for what's going to happen here over the next few minutes. First of all, my name is Scott Hamilton. I'm president of the Executive Next Practice Institute and also of Nextwork Strategy. Well, and I'll get into some formal introductions here in just a moment, but let's set the stage for those of you and as others join us for this lunchtime presentation. First of all, welcome to 2021, a new way of connecting. We certainly have all survived a very difficult time over the past almost 12 months. And now here's the situation according to all the research that we've gathered over the past several months and from hearing from literally thousands of executives across the world. This calls for a new way of connecting with each other and with our clients. The research is telling us that we've had a substantial loss of connections over the past 90 days alone. Secondly, each of us has lost an average of about 17% of our networks over the past year. And so it's going to require this new challenge of reconnecting with each other, with our clients and with potential customers in this next period of time. So again, this requires an extra effort, and that's why we're here today. Clients are receiving right now, according to LinkedIn, they're receiving 5,000 plus messages a day from social media, from email, from a variety of sources, text messages, you name it, 5,000 messages a day. So that's quite a bit of clutter that they're encountering in this current environment. So our agenda today is fairly simple, but also extremely important for all of you that have tuned in. First of all, what is that client retention challenge? How do we sustain those relationships as we go through the bulk of 2021 and on to 2022? How do you build the kind of holistic nurturing system, kind of a nurturing sales system as a result of what's going on right now in the market? And then how do you take a team approach to your overall strategy, sales strategy in particular for 2021 and 2022? So we're going to cover a lot of ground here. At the end of this session, one of three things is going to happen. Number one, you're going to say, thanks for the information, Jason and Scott, this has been terrific. Look forward to hearing more. Second, you may say, wait a minute, I've got someone you need to meet. That is a referral to someone that you're working with or a client that you're working with. The third option would be, I really want to talk more privately about our own particular situation and like a 15-minute consultation with one of you. So those are our outcomes today. All right, so let's get into this. The host organization, of course, is the Executive Next Practice Institute, based here at the University of California, Irvine, Beal Applied Innovation. This is what we used to look like in the good old days of March 2020, where we gather people to get together. We will have those days again soon and look forward to seeing you there. But this is number 418 forums, workshops, meetings we've had in terms of reaching that global audience of over 85,000 decision makers across the globe. So again, welcome and thank you for joining us today. On the session today are our E&P members, and they are comprised of people like key functional leaders from top enterprise level companies. They are top advisors to those companies, their innovation ecosystem principals, and other thought leaders and influencers. And we see quite a large audience today from different parts of the country and even indeed the world. I am going to make one quick comment here and invite you right now to save the date for the next E&P Forum, which is one of our master summits. We do this is now number 8, 8th year in a row, where we look at customer centricity. And we have two partners with us on the March 25th. That is CXPA, the Customer Experience Professional Association, and Orange County Product Managers. So please save the date now to join us for this important summit. Again, hosted virtually. All right, today's presentation is being done by Nextwork Strategy, which is our division for enterprise level solutions. And so we've got the two experts today, Jason Duncan, who again is our long-term partner and is an expert video strategies. He's literally worked with hundreds of companies to improve their sales cycle, sales formula, and sales results. And he's been involved with both large enterprise companies as well as small to mid-cap companies in coming up with these solutions. So we're delighted to have his expertise as we move into this. And I've asked Jason in particular to put a focus on some of the new techniques for acquiring and retaining customers in a virtual marketplace. So Jason, I'll turn to you for just a moment.
Yes, I want to introduce Scott. He is the CEO and president of Network Strategy and the EMP Group. He's a thought leader in organizational design, sales programs, and strategy execution.
Okay, so between the two of us and based on our research here, we want to give you an update on what we're seeing and hearing from the market. So this data that we're showing you has literally come from hundreds of our Executive Next Practice Institute members and our network strategy clients. And here's the top line for you. And I think many of you are probably seeing and hearing this yourself. Number one, the challenges of operating remote, particularly retaining existing clients and gaining new business. Secondly, I mentioned it earlier, this loss of your network. It's very difficult to maintain that connection. We're not seeing people, not able to see them in person and kind of build and solidify relationships. Thirdly, out of sight, out of mind. It's a simple fact of life. And we mentioned it again. In a period of 90 days, you can lose a large percentage of your network simply by not being visible to them. So that's happening. Also, this issue of building trust and maintaining trust with existing clients and customers is very, very difficult in a remote setting. And finally, we're trying to apply old tactics to this environment. So it requires new solutions, new methods in this kind of virtual environment. And so we'll continue to exist on into 2022 and beyond. So here are the four traps that are happening right now that we're seeing organizations fall into. Number one, they continue to divide customer service and sales into two domains, two separate things. And you're seeing this as a customer yourself when you interact with organizations. Customer service has very little connection with sales. You get an awful experience in customer service that doesn't reflect what you've been told in the sales process. So that's happening. Two siloed organizations remain. Secondly, organizations too focused on analytics and this idea of hyper-personalized offers that you see all the time, but they don't execute. So you've gotten this great experience so far, but then when it comes time to do the deal or for delivery of the product or service, it doesn't happen. So this idea of operational execution is not happening. Thirdly, an omni-channel strategy so that you've got a seamless experience for customers, the entire customer journey from point A to point B, across all channels. So we're going to talk just a minute about omni-channel this afternoon. And then finally, the internal sales initiatives aimed at increasing sales seem to be limited to one domain, and they're not connected across the entire organization. So again, we're still seeing this idea that sales is siloed over here, and the rest of the organization is operating independently. We're seeing it time and again. So how do we address those kind of issues? By the way, as you interact with us today, most of you are now on YouTube channel with us. As you see, there's a way that you can click in there on the right and give us your ideas, your suggestions, your questions, please. And we really want to make this interactive, and we look forward to your comments. Also, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the Miller Farm Media channel as well. So use that to subscribe to your channel. You'll see literally hundreds of interactive videos that have been created here over the past year and beyond. Okay, let's open it up right now to your questions and what kind of challenges you're encountering. So if you just take a minute, we're going to have just a bit of lag time here as you put in your chats. But what are some of the sales challenges you're meeting right now? What are the day-to-day challenges you're having right now in terms of maintaining those relationships with existing customers, creating new relationships with prospective customers, and dealing with your affiliate and advocate network that can help you get to customers? What kind of challenges are you seeing? So, Jason, let me throw it to you for a minute while people are throwing some ideas at us. What are some of the things you're hearing from our clients?
Well, what I'm hearing is that people are losing people during these calls. They're not um, they're not engaging them properly through the entire meeting. They're having trouble getting them onto a video call, and the reason we want to get them onto a video call is because we need to build that relationship. We need that face to face. They need to see our eyes, and all these things work towards creating a successful sales strategy virtually.
Yeah, the other complaint that we've heard is, again, because of this lack of intimacy in a Zoom environment, uh, it's very difficult, again, to kind of build that trust. So our recommendation from that standpoint is start small and build to it. In other words, start delivering on small promises, if you will, to kind of build that trust, offering them items of value during the course of the conversation. Jason, do you have some other questions there that are coming through?
Not right now, but we'll keep an eye on them, and if we have questions, we'll make sure we get to them at the end.
Yeah, and again, the important thing here is during the course of this session for all of you, throw your own ideas, suggestions there in the chat box, and we'll address any questions that you have. So let's keep moving on this. Again, in setting the stage for improving your reach to new clients and to existing customers, we need to look at this holistically. So go back to the overall business model. And again, we're talking at this from an enterprise level because a lot of the challenges are for enterprise level companies that have a platform, they've been in existence for a while, they have a proven product and proven service, but they're again encountering these roadblocks in a virtual environment. So let's take a step back and look holistically at what our value proposition is from both an industry perspective, the emerging trend within the marketplace, what the marketplace itself looks like, and then of course the overall economy. Here's our opportunity in 2021. It's almost like a new playing field, a new level playing field for everyone, in that we can look at things differently, people are more receptive to new ideas and new techniques than they ever were before. So this does represent an opportunity. So the core issue here is to look at your overall business model. Look at the center question. What is the problem we solve and how do we solve it? And that's the customer question, not your question. What is the problem that the customer is trying to solve? Not what you're trying to solve, but what is the customer's problem? That's always the starting point, and all these peripheral issues around the business model come into play. We're going to pay close attention to the top right of this chart today as well in terms of customer relations. That is, how do we talk to the market about their solution? How do we get to more customers? How do we deliver a solution to customers? And who needs solutions? So that'll be our emphasis as we look at this kind of holistic approach in a virtual environment. So Jason, I want to turn that over to you for just a moment. And before we get into actual strategy work and talk about some specifics, a holistic nurturing system that people can put in place right now.
Yeah, the key to remote sales is creating a consistent presence in the marketplace. And if you're currently on Zoom, I just want a housekeeping note. If you're on Zoom and you want to see my slides, you've got to go over to YouTube. And we're broadcasting everything, including the demo that I'm going to give later on. So make sure that you head over there, and you'll get all the links that we're talking about, and you'll have a much better viewing experience. So if you're currently on Zoom, please move over to YouTube so you can have the full experience. And stay tuned in the end because I want to share with you a free tool that you can start using today to get more engagement in your virtual meetings, whether they're sales or internal meetings, whatever you're doing when it comes to Zoom, Teams, whatever your preferred platform is, this tool is going to work with that, and it's going to change the way you communicate remotely or virtually. And then during this presentation, you're going to hear us use the words virtual or remote selling interchangeably because they are interchangeable. I mean, technically, remote selling is what we're doing. But when you go to Google and you type in virtual selling versus remote selling, virtual selling is the more preferred term for some reason. So that's why we are using it and again, going back and forth. What would it be like if your sales team could focus more time on talking to those qualified prospects and clients instead of spending all this time trying to nurture and to connect virtually? How would that change your business? Well, as part of all this, you need to remember your top salesperson should spend their time selling. They shouldn't get involved in the weeds with some of what we're talking about today. But this system is to help support them and make them better at their job, to give them more opportunity to sell. Virtual selling isn't going away. So now's the time to get good at it so that when we go back to being able to connect face-to-face, you've got this system that will still connect with those face-to-face meetings, and you'll get the best of both worlds. All this comes down to alignment. We need to make sure that we're aligning all of these sales things that we can do, from our website to our sales team to the phone calls that they're doing. There needs to be alignment, and that's the nurturing system we're going to show you this afternoon. It starts by clarifying your message. When you clarify your message, people can easily understand what you're saying. You stand out above those 5,000 messages that are vying for your attention every day, or vying for your ideal client's attention every day. And the reason we need to clarify our message is because clarity builds trust. People don't need to like you necessarily, but they definitely need to trust you to buy from you. So that's the first step. The next thing we need to do is we need to cover this information gap, right? We can't run into somebody at a chamber meeting, or it's rare you're going to see them at coffee these days, especially here in California. So we need to make sure that we're there, and they know we're there to help them with their problem, and we're there to offer the solution and to bridge the gap. And the way we do that is through a sales funnel. I would say that if you have a competitor that is successful right now, it's because they had a good sales funnel. A sales funnel actually allowed businesses that had them to pivot faster than the rest of us because they had a system already in place. And that sales funnel starts by knowing the problem. Scott mentioned it at the beginning. We need to be very clear on the problem our ideal customers have. Because if we're clear on it and they know that we know they have that problem, it'll help draw them in because they're looking for a solution. This all starts by knowing your buyer's journey. And I believe that a good buyer's journey or customer journey has 5 steps. There's some people that say it has, only needs to have 3. I think they're missing out on some very important sales steps. I think those are marketing funnels that are, again, they're not efficient. I've seen some funnels that have 22 steps. But again, I think you at least need these 5 steps. You need awareness because people need to become aware of their problem or more aware of their problem. My good friend Scott Bailey, who's on the call, he talks about having the doctor's method. You need to continually poke that pain. You need to be educating about the solutions to their problem. They move into the consideration phase where they're looking at all their options, they make a decision, and then you need to retain them as customers so you can upsell them, cross-sell them, and not only retain them, but make them advocates so they're sending you referrals. As you know, a customer you've already got is worth a lot more to you than just one sale. Now let's talk about the system for nurturing. So I showed you earlier all the different things that need to be aligned. Well, it starts with your website. You can see here on the left, we have a website, and the headline is "The world moves fast, the landscape changes at blistering speeds. Let C&G IT build you the infrastructure to get you there." Can you quickly understand what they do? I mean, it says IT in the name, so it's probably something to do with computers, but how does that benefit you? Now, if you look at the right side of your screen, it says easy to understand IT services so you can focus on your business. If you've ever had a problem with your computer and had somebody try to explain it to you and it sounds like they're speaking a foreign language, you know how difficult IT can be. And really all you want is to focus on your business. You don't want to have to worry about why your computer is turning on or isn't turning on, or why things aren't in the cloud. So we help them simplify their message so that people could quickly, within a few seconds, understand what they did and either connect with that or move on. And you can see we're calling them to actions. The next thing, get a quote. And then we also kind of poke that pain a little more. How much are your technology problems costing you? So this is the first step. Go to your website and look. Does it talk about how great the company is, or does it talk about the problem that your company has or solves? Then we move on to that main call to action in this website was get a quote. Well, you need to have some kind of secondary call to action. This is how we're going to build our email list. And it's called a lead magnet. And the idea is you give something away for free. So right now, Scott and I are doing this training. Eventually, this will become a lead magnet that we use to help draw other people into the EMP community, NextWorks community. And you can see on your screen right now, there is the lead magnet from the Miller Farm Media website, How to Increase Sales with Video. This is a 20-minute presentation where we really dive deep into using video for leads and sales. It's different than what we're talking about today. And the whole purpose of this is to get people onto our email list so we can nurture them. Because I know there's some people out there saying, well, email's dead. Email isn't important anymore, but it's not true. You need email because it's your direct connection to your customers besides their phone number. And social media is great, and we're going to talk about social media in a minute, and it's a very important part of the strategy. But if social media decides tomorrow that you're no longer allowed there, you're done. I mean, you don't have those connections. So moving them to an email address gives them a direct connection to your company. You're giving them something of value. You can't just have a join our newsletter link. It needs to be something of value. I had a client who was really excited because they had people signing up for their newsletter when I first started helping them, and we looked and they were all spammers. They were people out of the country, so my theory or my saying is if you're getting subscribers to your newsletter, it's because they're trying to spam you. So when they get that lead magnet, we need to send them an email nurturing campaign. And your company's going to have many different email funnels. Anytime someone connects with a salesperson and asks a question, you should have a series of emails that can be automatically triggered that get sent off. And this is an example of what happens after the typical lead magnet. You see here there are 6 emails that go out, and it ends with a sales letter. You're trying to get them to take some kind of action, the action that was on your website initially, the primary call to action, in which case on our website it's request a quote. And it varies depending on what you want people to do. So now we need to move our strategy to social media. Again, because we need to have an omnichannel strategy, we need to use everything at our disposal. And a lot of brands, especially B2B brands, are reluctant to use social media. And I understand why. It's a dumpster fire. There's lots of bad opinions. It's hard to reach your ideal client on social media because social media has become pay to play. Let's say that you have 1,000 followers on LinkedIn. You're lucky if 100 of those see a post because LinkedIn wants you to buy ads. So even if you're not using social media, and this is true across all platforms, even if you're not using social media to generate new business, generate new leads, you need to use it to nurture your existing leads. So if they visited your website, they should be seeing a video that you're posting that's helping them understand their problem better and setting you up as the thought leader or the expert that they need. You need to, again, nurture them so they're going from social media into your email so you can continually send them something. Let me show you what this looks like. So this is a social media campaign. We started by running ads on LinkedIn and Facebook. So this is a B2B company. We invite them to a sales video. So this is a landing page. We then retarget them on YouTube and Facebook and offer them another sales video, which then triggers an email campaign. And again, this was specific to this company. I know that typically we would offer them an email after the first sales video, but which takes them to a video on the website, which then encourages them to talk to a salesperson. And this helps them be able to self-select and kind of gets rid of the people who are not qualified, and helps the people who are qualified to continue to go down the path with you. And you can actually score them if you're using HubSpot or Salesforce to help see who's watching more videos. If someone's watching a video about one of your products and the problems around that product that it solves, chances are they're ready for a call from a salesperson. It's all about having more data to be able to know when to connect and when just to sit back and wait. All of this requires video. Video is the most important remote selling tool that your business has. Whether you're doing a face-to-face, Zoom meeting like this, or your pre-recorded videos, or you're creating one-to-one videos. So let's dive into what each of those mean and how you best maximize those opportunities. So here's an example of the video sales funnel. You can see across the top there are all the different categories for the sales funnel, and then you can see all the different videos that can be created across the sales funnel. This is for companies that want to dive in and go right after it right away. And sometimes we build these out over time, but some companies aren't ready for this, so they go into what I would call a mini funnel, because the bigger funnel is very overwhelming. So we create thought leadership videos because people need to know, are looking for experts, and we need to show ourselves as the expert they're looking for. You need searchable content because people are going to YouTube and they're searching for the answers to their questions, and you need to be the person that pops up. And actually, if you video is a great way also to show up in a voice search. So if someone says, "Hey Siri, how do I create a company introduction video?" If you were to do that right now, you'd see the first 2 results are actually a video I created, which gets us a lot of leads from around the world, and a blog post I wrote from my good friend Neil Schaefer on his website. So being searchable is very important. Having a strategy for that is a great way to have your video have a longer life, not have to buy ads in the long run. But not every video is searchable, because what's a searchable term may not be, or not all the terms that your ideal client is going to actually need. All the things they're going to need to know. That's why thought leadership is, I'd say, the first thing you should start with. And of course, you need sales videos because you can't just give free advice away. You've got to sell them something eventually. Some tips for video. Please don't make me read your video. It should not be just all text. It should be, it's show and tell. Video is show and tell. Make sure there's a voice. Make sure I can see something. Don't use animation. Use real people. You want to connect with your business with a real face. And I really think that every salesperson should have a series of videos. And there's a good chance that every salesperson is going to have the same series. But again, it's about building that relationship. It's when you're not able to, again, have a phone call or get them on a meeting. Because if you've ever had the experience where you reach out to a prospect only to find out that they've forgotten about you because you didn't follow up with them that week, you know how painful this could be. And that's why we need the email to be popping up in their box, every week or every month. And videos on social media, again, showing your face, reminding them that you're there. I had a call yesterday from somebody who I hadn't worked with in 10 years, and she had seen me on LinkedIn, and we were talking about doing a project together. So it really does work to have that consistent presence in the marketplace. Make sure that you're in a real place. You'll see that Scott and I are actually in our offices today. We're not using virtual backgrounds. If you have to use a virtual background, make sure that it is something natural. It should not distract. It should be an element. They look around the screen and go, okay, I get who this guy is, and then they focus on your face. And then, of course, you want to make sure that you have the right scripting, because you need the right video at the right time with the right script to be able to drive action for your business. So let's look at a thought leader example. Here are our friends at Sirius Executive Search, and they did this thought leadership video. I think it's a good example of what you should do.
We're bleeding cash, and we don't know why.
Yeah, an interim executive can help with that. Coming up next, what could be causing it and the quickest path to stopping it. Pam, there's little more frustrating for a business owner than having the best year ever with revenues and the worst with profits.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many contributing factors to why companies are doing that. It could be they're not collecting their cash. Their AR is 180 days out. It could be that they haven't raised their prices in years. It could be that they're selling products or manufacturing things below the cost that they're selling it at. So again, there's many contributing factors to this.
We've had a number of clients. In fact, we had one client where it turns out for every widget that they sold, they were losing money on it. And pricing was absolutely the key, as well as more efficient operations.
And they hadn't raised prices for 5 years. I mean, come on. I mean, everything else is going up. They should have raised their prices.
Yep, CFO came in, talked them through, and actually helped meet with their clients as well to talk through the finances of it and justify the price increase. If you're in this situation, an interim executive or part-time CFO may be just what you need to get both revenues and profits trending upward. To get our free book, 101 Ways to Leverage an Interim Executive, click the link in the post, and I'll see you in our next video.
So as you can see, In that video, they opened with a problem. They let us know what they were going to talk about. They quickly branded the video with their logo. They went in, they dived into the problem, gave us a solution, and then they gave us a call to action at the end to be a part of their free download. If you want to see someone else who does this really well, check out our friend Scott Bailey's YouTube channel. Well, Scott, if you're on the YouTube call, please make sure you put a link to your YouTube channel there, and if not, we'll make sure it gets in there at the end so you can have it in the notes. But he also does a great job and has some really great sales strategy and sales leadership and all those different sales things that he does. He's an excellent sales trainer, so make sure you check out his YouTube channel if you're having some issues that go beyond what we're talking about. We're really not talking about how to, in terms of becoming a better salesperson. We're talking about the tactics around it. So this is a video marketing funnel. This is what I would call in our company, this is our mini video marketing funnel. So you've got your thought leadership content across the top. Each of those videos gets an email sent out. They go to social media, and then they push to that lead magnet that we talked about. If they sign up for lead magnet, you see this arrow that goes to the left. They get that email sequence, that 6 email sequence, which invites them to a meeting. It really, the last email, as you remember, is the one that really hits them in terms of needing a meeting. The first 5, it's an important piece, but it's not the focus, obviously, because what the focus is are the elements that they need to get to a spot where they're ready for a call a salesperson. If they don't take the lead magnet, we then retarget them. And then once they hit the end of the sequence, we also retarget them to continually share them our latest and greatest thought leadership content. So we're staying in front of them, nurturing them until they're ready to buy. Because remember, only 3% of people are really, qualified, and probably another 15 are out there looking, and then the rest of the people are just looky-loos that will never buy anything from you. So make sure that you have a clear vision of what the expected results are with this type of a campaign. Make sure that you are using a video marketer to help you with this process. I see a lot of companies that hire a videographer, and videographers make pretty videos. They don't understand the marketing piece, but a video marketer will help you put a system like this into place and do all the pieces that you need. So let's move on to your sales presentation real quick. Make sure that you set expectations of a video meeting. You want to get them onto video. You need to make sure your lighting looks good and your background looks natural, as we talked about. Make sure that you've got that actual microphone, you're not using earbuds, that you've got a good webcam, and that you use as much multimedia in the meeting as possible. You want to keep people's eyes moving, and you always want something to be changing on the screen. Here's an example of my current setup. I'm actually, I've got my setup, and I'll put a link to all the equipment that's here. My setup is made so that I don't have to wear headphones. Now, you can see I'm wearing headphones today because the way Scott and I are doing this webinar, I've got to be able to hear some extra cues and whatnot. But for the most part, my sales meetings, I don't have to wear headphones. And you definitely want to avoid that Mickey Mouse look. So I would say you're going to be stuck in this, if you're in California, we're stuck in this remote selling thing for probably the rest of the year, which hurts to say that out loud, but that's the way it's going to be, I'm afraid. So, invest in these things, and they'll be valuable long term because these live meetings are not going away. Lastly, your virtual events. Take and use the strategy that I gave you: social media ads, email sequences, videos, to get people into your virtual events. Whether you're hosting your own or you're partnering with a group like EMP for your events. The benefit to partnering with a group like EMP is they're going to have some of this pre and post nurturing done for you, but you still have to do your own because everyone has to pull their own weight. And we saw that with CES and all the other big shows that have had to go virtual. You still got to get people into your meetings, whether they're your own or you're not. It does cost more to do your own, but the good news is you definitely always own the audience. I want to show you, I promised you something for free. I want to show you a Prezi video. You can see here I'm currently in the back end of Prezi video. And one of the things first things I like to do is I like to move Prezi video so it's closer to my camera so my eye line matches better with the camera. And why I think you need to use Prezi is because you can, again, keep the eyes moving. So right now I'm full screen on Prezi. I can click the button here and I can bring up some text to help reinforce the point. And I can also, move my slides ahead. And you can see here's the slide for today's event. I can move this full screen so the audience can see that full screen. And Prezi has a free version and they have a paid version. You can see up here, you can add your presenter notes if you have the paid version. You can, you just have text on the screen like I showed you before. You can do picture-in-picture with your slides. It's a really easy tool, and it works with Zoom, it works with Teams, it works with all the major streaming platforms when it comes to those meetings. So it's a great tool to learn. I really recommend that you take the time to figure it out because it's not hard to use. It's the easiest one we found. I mean, basically, you choose a template in here, you add your text, and then you click video conference, and it will help you connect to, again, your platform, whether it be Zoom or whatnot. And it just makes it really easy to, again, make that human connection and keep the eyes moving. So you always want something different to be on the screen. And if you can go beyond just the slides, it means a lot to your audience. So let me come back over here. So we've had a lot of fun. We've learned a lot today, but let me ask you a question. Over the last few minutes, I shared a lot of information, but as you know, information alone isn't going to change your company. You need systems, you need actions, you need all the stuff that I'm sharing with you, both that Scott and I are both sharing with you. And I want to share with you something that you can do to take action and make a change tomorrow so that when you wake up in your business, you need to make sure your messaging is on point, you need to nurture, and you need to build human connections. So we offer a video subscription that helps you do all these things. You can go to millerfarmmedia.com and click on the red bar at the top, and it'll take you to the video subscription page. You can learn more. And whether you need a mini funnel or you need the full thing, we'd be happy to help you. And I'm going to turn this back over to Scott. We're going to talk a little bit more about virtual selling.
Okay, Jason, thanks for that overview. Jason, I want you to, if we have a moment, I want you to go back to the omni-channel chart, because I think that's really the focus today. We talked about a lot of tips and techniques, but again, I want you to talk for just a moment before we end about that omni-channel roadmap, because that really is the key thing here. And also, again, Jason mentioned the subscription to our YouTube channel, E&P. That's got several hundred videos on there. So I want you to take a look at that. The starting point today, really, this is the key takeaway for today, is you want to start with a sales strategy session. That's not you alone, and it's not your enterprise client. It's not just for them alone. So I want to just quickly talk about this. Where do you start from here? This is a lot of information. We talked some strategy, some really minute tactics, but I want to talk about really where you want to go as a team. This looks like this. If we go into your overall strategy, it starts with your strategic agenda, and that is pulling aside your sales team plus your entire leadership team to craft a strategic agenda to look at over the next 60 days. And you don't wait on this. We're in a period now where it's an opportunity to reset your teams where you want to focus for the remainder of 2021. So that is, set a strategic agenda now for your team. Then one of the things that our team has been doing with a lot of clients is a facilitated scenario development. So in other words, we may look at 2 to 3 sales strategies or scenarios for now, between now and the end of the year. And we weave in these omni-channel marketing strategies that Jason was just talking about. So we're looking at this holistically. We're not doing it tactically, but we're tying it to our overall game plan. What's our value proposition? What is the client issue? And then work through various scenarios about how we're resolving that and solving that problem for them. So again, the challenge and the difficulty companies have is they've been pulling the sales team together to do this independent of the rest of the organization. This is something you need to have your entire leadership team doing. And this is what we've been doing the past 12 months, is pulling teams off-site in a virtual sense to look at this issue holistically. So it's not just the sales team's responsibility, but everybody's responsibility. Let me just give you a quick example of the technique we've been using. And you've seen this in different scenarios before, or different arenas before, but it's the idea of a blue ocean strategy. That is a sales sense. How do we do things differently? So it works like this. You've pulled together your entire team, again, not just the sales team, but the entire leadership team. And you're asking yourself these 4 questions. That is, now that we've had a chance to examine what it looks like to work in this virtual environment over the past 12 months, what's not working, or what policies or procedures or customer interactions we've been doing that no longer make sense now or forever. Secondly, what can we create that will create a better customer journey, a better customer experience that's more holistic, and as Jason mentioned, it's more nurturing via the use of video and some of these other techniques we just talked about. And then thirdly, what is our overall business strategy? How do we align the rest of the organization to this new approach to how we're engaging our customers? And then finally, what is our culture that supports this kind of nurturing effort with our client base? So if we're answering those 4 questions via this offsite meeting, I keep using the word offsite, it's all virtual, right? If we're answering those 4 questions, we're going to come up with literally hundreds of ideas from our organization that will propel us forward. Here's the thing that's happened in this virtual environment. Your employees, your workforce have never been closer to what the customer issues than they are now. They've seen the breakdowns. They've seen the miscommunications. They've seen the virtual fog that happens. How do we best make that clarity come forward? So that's our next step there. So let's stop there and see if you have any questions or comments before we close the session. And Jason, I want to just go back again. We mentioned this whole thing. The key point here was this omni-channel strategy. If you want to pull your slide back up or just quickly talk again, what's the starting point for creating this kind of holistic nurturing system that you talked about?
Yeah, it's a great question. It starts with knowing your client's problems and then looking at all these elements across the sales, your sales, I guess, toolkit, making sure that they're aligned. So that alignment is very important, and it needs to have you need to know how it connects to your sales team. That's the biggest mistake that we see out there. There's marketing messages and there's sales messages, and never the two shall meet. The sales team doesn't know what the marketing team's doing, and they're not working together. There's that eternal conflict, it seems like. So that's how we start to bring about change, is by starting with, again, understanding the problem and then making sure that we're aligned.
Yeah, did you have some questions on your end? Because I've got a couple here. Any questions here from our YouTube viewers?
Yeah, I see one. What was the name of the app for engagement on sales meetings? It was Prezi Video. And it's PRZI, Prezi Video.
Yeah, so that's one question. Also, a couple of people are asking about the slides. Yes, we will send the participants in the that are viewing today the copy of these slides and some of the contact points. There was also something I want to mention. When you're doing your strategy session, we've been using a lot of these new tools. Jason mentioned Prezi. We've been using Miro, M-I-R-O. Go to Miro, MIRO.com. That's a unique interactive system we've been using for literally brainstorming in a virtual environment. But again, that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Other questions there? Go ahead.
Yeah, Miro's great. We're using that to plan our content calendar now. We've moved to it. So should you use slides in a presentation? I would say yes. You need to use some slides, but again, you need to keep people's eyes moving. And so you need to go back and forth between your face being full screen and then a combination of picture-in-picture, maybe full-screen slides.
Yeah, and I would add to that, here's the thing, this is the challenge. Jason and I are, you probably haven't noticed, but we're working on what we call a 30-second clock, so that our information is between 30 seconds and 1 minute, because in a Zoom environment, virtual environment, you've got to keep the information flowing fast and concise. And so that's why we're switching both media on you and using PowerPoint slides, as well as the video, as you saw Jason using earlier. So again, that's important to keep the momentum and cadence of the conversation. You certainly wouldn't want to have a presentation quite this long to any client. You're going to be working in the segments of 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes max.
Yeah.
So Jason, other questions there?
Yeah. Getting your sales presentation down to 20 minutes is important, and you'll be amazed at how, when you tell somebody the entire sales presentation only takes 30 minutes because it's 10 minutes for questions, how much more willing they are to get on a call with you because they know they're not going to be stuck in some kind of Zoom purgatory. So the question is, can we use video animated video for thought leadership content? And the answer is no. You should not use animated video for thought leadership. You should have a person's face. They need to build a relationship with you, and part of that omni-channel strategy is making sure that there is a spokesperson. Whether you hire a professional person, I've seen brands do that, who becomes the experts, or the expert, or you choose somebody in the company who's a good talker or willing to learn how to be a good talker on video. And if you've got somebody who's not good at talking on video, interview them. Interviews always win. We see this with reality shows all the time. Those people aren't professional actors in many cases. Sometimes they are. But if you want to have somebody who's an expert at something sound good on camera, interview them.
Yeah, I would, let's talk about that too. We have something called an explainer video. And if you go to the EMP website, EMP Institute, and the events page, you'll see a video that Jason created that explains the concept of next practices. So those explainer videos with graphics are terrific for describing concepts, but they're not great at developing that relationship with people that we just talked about, that face-to-face. You're using people in the videos, but the explainer videos are excellent, absolutely excellent at describing what a concept looked like. So if you're unfamiliar with the term next practices, go to the events page of EMP Institute. You'll see a great, again, 90-second video on what next practices are all about.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Scott. It's all about the right video in the right place. So it's not that those explainer videos don't work. It's that you've got to use them at the right place in the right way. Your next practices is a more difficult concept, right? So it's a perfect opportunity for that. We see SaaS companies that have a product that's hard to understand using explainer videos. The problem we see with SaaS is they never bring out a face, so there's no human connection.
Yeah, that's terrific. And also, I want to mention something else, because you mentioned the use of events. And at our parent organization, Executive Next Practice Institute, we do hundreds of events and forums. One of the things we've done now is go to what we call a virtual booth. So our sponsors come in and they actually have a virtual booth where the audience can interact with them, not in a salesy way, but just as an information gathering and exchange. So they could start to get to know you in that kind of way. So that's been effective too. Those are new tools. And again, we're continuing to experiment with this. Where we see things going, let's just kind of back up for a second. I started this session with where we saw the market going, and here's where we see it now. We'll start to see this gradual transition back to some activity where we have in-person meetings with our prospects and with our clients. And we'll have in-person meetings in the larger events. That'll happen between now and the mid part of 2022. But this virtual environment will never go away. We've now gotten used to it. So for example, when you start forums in the future, you'll see a live stream event and you'll see a few people in the room as well. So again, be thinking about this. This nurturing system Jason's been talking about, this will really be your platform as we move forward for the next several years. And we'll continue to examine this. So I'll stop there. Jason, other questions, comments?
Some questions drill down into video. How long should my videos be? It really depends on where they are in that journey. So at the beginning of the journey, your videos need to be really short. As they get to know you, the videos can be longer. And it depends on the purpose of those videos. Those searchable videos need to be, for YouTube, need to be 5 to 14 minutes. That's what YouTube, actually it's 7 to 14 minutes. That's what they want. But that's not great for an ad. If you're going to run thought leadership content for advertising, you want to be able to give them something of value in 60 seconds and then continue to invite them back for more new and longer videos. And again, it tracks throughout your sales process. The more they know about you, the more you engage them, the more they'll stick with you and become really advocates for your brand.
Yeah, I would just emphasize that again. It's going back to something we talked about earlier. It is the video is not about you, not at all. The video, if you're going to use video or any of these other techniques we've been talking about, it's about the customer's pain point. Obviously, it's what's of value to them. This is the way great companies are started. Creative new products, services are created by examining what is the pain point from the customer perspective, not your solution. So this, again, that's one of those traps we see people fall into. And whether you're an enterprise company of $1 billion or a sole proprietor, it's the same approach that you want to take to the marketplace, particularly right now. If anything, the past 12 months has highlighted for people where their pain is. It's become acutely aware. And again, we're hearing things from people in terms of miscommunication, missed product launches, failure to follow through on the services. And again, you're seeing this time and again. So Jason, let me throw it back to you one more time before we make a close here. Other questions, comments from our audience?
Well, going back to your focus on the problem to draw people in, the way you identify if your company's got this issue is go to the website. If it says we or I, especially in the headline, you've got a huge problem. There shouldn't be any we until you get to the solution, which is typically halfway down the page. If you're sending messages like I'm just checking in, or worse, phone calls that say I'm just checking in, it's a good opportunity to put this omnichannel strategy in place, because that will give you the words to say at each step of the journey. And you need to make sure your sales team's on board with this. If you've got somebody in sales who's not ready for this, maybe they're not cut out for remote sales.
That's exactly right. And that's what we're seeing. A lot of companies are, people did not make that transition from in-person selling to the virtual environment. And that's become acutely aware. So it's a new skill set that we have to help people through. And this is not something that's going to go away. This is a new way of approaching our clients and customers that's going to be around for quite a long time to come. I would say tune in. We're going to drill into this really deeper on March 25th, again with the Customer Experience Professional Association and OC product managers. So there you're going to see the convergence of three major organizations, E&P, CFPA, and OC product managers, examining the entire customer journey from the purpose of your organization in serving clients all the way through the execution. So again, that's going to be quite comprehensive. We're looking forward to that. The head of CXPA will be kicking off with a keynote. Jason's going to be contributing with that one as well, with some additional techniques that you can use. And we're looking forward to having that. With that, Jason, any final words for our audience?
I think it goes back to, do you want to see a change in your business tomorrow? And, setting up a system to help make sure that you're continually nurturing clients and prospects.
Yeah, I think that's a great comment. Again, thanks for your, particularly the charts that you gave us, Jason. I think that's a great roadmap. Again, for those of you that tuned in, you will get a chance to see the slides again. A copy of the presentation will be on the E&P YouTube channel. Again, you have a chance to subscribe to it right now. Just hit the button. And we'll look forward to seeing you all on March the 25th. Jason, thanks again. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.